Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Are we in, or are you counting us
Yeah,
down?
no, we're
or-
in. We're sorry, we're
in.
in
Oh,
now.
wow. Straight
Kristen
into
wanted
it.
to do some chatter, so I went in cold.
Oh, hold on,
Classic.
countdown.
In any case, welcome. Glad that you're here with us.
And action.
We're already having a good time. We're taking a look at the characters from Sir.
Yeah.
And probably, if you're checking out our Discord, have seen some interesting links in that direction. It's going to be trickling out on YouTube real soon. I invite you to take a look. What we're doing right now, wrong side of the wall, is a direct result of events that happened in Sir. The characters who featured so prominently in Sir return in Face of the Future, and are likely to show up again. So if you want to know what the hell is going on and who are these people, that's where you want to start. We've been looking at some of the just amazing character art that Christian has put together. And I imagine you'll get the chance to see some of those in the YouTube videos. I've seen some of the title screens. I've heard a little bit here and there as the editing process has gone on. Nathaniel, thank you for doing all of that work. I'm really looking forward to listening back through that. Nathaniel reminded me it was 5 years ago, which is crazy. I'm so old. But aside from that, it's going to be really cool to listen back to us having a good time. I hope you'll join us doing that. Speaking of joining us and having a good time, that's the plan for tonight. Kirk, I believe you're on recap duty, and Kirk's already let me know that he's got kind of a monologue thing going here, so I'm just going to let him go for it.
Mm-hmm. I was hoping for a better monologue. Like, speaking of old people, here's the guy doing the monologue.
Needed a better segue? Sorry, all out.
Okay. So this is kind of going through Zaniel's head after the whole scene last week, as we're kind of walking to our next location. How many times has it happened? How many times have I jumped now? Countless years lost to that emptiness. It follows me wherever I go. Lives, places, memories, souls. Lost to the void, and all I can do is to fight back is run. Just constantly running. Each time it happens, I can sense something. Almost like a hollowness of something that once was. Sometimes I even think of a cat. I don't know where that's coming from. I look at this place now, the place I stumbled upon with that blasted ritual. Damn you, Alistair. I see these people fighting for scraps, trying to survive on what little is left, possibly not knowing what is out there, or rather, lack thereof now. Cyrus, Kale, both competent and strong. This newcomer, Task, I think it was, who appears to be dependable and deadly. Even Themrir's here, or at least the shell of what remains of him continues to persevere. Has he lost as much as I? Ever since I've arrived here, I've been roped into helping others. Try as I might to keep distant into my own for fear of what attachment brings, I still find myself remembering something in my distant past. Kindness? Sympathy? Who knows? But I still hear that voice whispering to me. Recently, I've been tasked with searching for a killer. Some person who replaces faces on people. A devious fiend who has no qualms, striking fear into the few refugees that remain. This led myself, along with newly introduced Cyrus and Kale, and Themrir to a bar. Kind of a neutral ground of sorts, where we hoped for answers, and to find one named Dane, the only lead we had. Fight ensued where, confusion and death reigned, unfortunately. We came out of it unscathed, and even met the newcomer Task that I mentioned before. While some questions were answered and even creatures of long-forgotten realms laid claim here, we left with more questions than when we entered. Dane, Found out he was a man connected to Cyrus in his world. Blood magic as well. The uselessness it brings with the slide dead and gone. Even Task with his mysterious talking box. All these and more continue to circle my thoughts. After the neutral zone was no more, we now seek out another place to try and uncover this mystery. The hospital of sorts. Hopefully here, we can get some answers to questions we may not even know we needed. Do the people here really know how close we are to the encroaching darkness? Do I leave them ignorant of it so they keep what I've so long ago lost? Do I allow them hope? I don't know.
Very good. Thank you. I think that hit everything. Does anybody want to add any salient points that occur to them?
Something more positive in mind, but it's okay if not.
I don't know about more positive, but the session did end with us trying to return to cell block 7 and finding that it was cordoned off by the boys in blue.
Yes.
All too true.
I
The
did
Knight
forget that.
Errant has set up shop just outside,
Yeah, that was our final hook, yes.
and it doesn't seem like the organized gathering there is likely to be anything that bodes well for you. Let's sleep right in right there. Wee. It's a little later in the day. The sun is nearing the horizon. It's been an hour or two there, a very packed 30 minutes or so, followed by another hour or two back. The distances of a place are exaggerated when you have to move on foot, especially if you're not used to it. Themrir and Zaniel have a lot of experience in having to move from one place to another under no motive force but that which they can manage from their own bodies. But even then, in their own homeworlds, there was plenty of ways to get from place to place, fast if you really wanted to. Meanwhile, Kale and Cyrus are used to being able to hop from, floating island to floating islands, from the freest cities back to the Kingdom of Flame and into the Empire with impunity. Anytime they needed to travel somewhere further than the bathroom or the kitchen, the owl was at beck and call. And of course, once money was no longer an issue, getting a sky taxi or sky limo more likely was just a call away. But here they are, here you all are, walking from place to place to place in the oppressive heat of this world. It has been unrelenting for the entire time each of you has been here. And Cyrus and Kale know all too well that it's been at least 3 weeks since this place has seen any rain. There was no hint that there was any before you arrived either. And although the clouds draw in with the darkness, they don't come with any relief from the heat or the dryness. It just seems like the air becomes thicker and harder to breathe. There's a crowd gathered around the entrance to Steak Sauce. There's a lot of people that you recognize, more or less, from inside the building that are just sort of pooled around the way that you see people gawking at a tragedy in process. There is other people who are moving, slowly trudging, in some cases being carried. You see your first hover lift as a number of gurneys and beds seem to be suspended from some sort of mechanical device which simply levitates off the ground of just a bare inch as it makes its way into the back of an absolutely massive carrier. The thing rivals the size of the building that it's next to, that it's blocking the entrance to, in fact. The rest of what access you could have to the building is blocked off either by the crowd of people watching whatever it is that's happening, and by the police forces. It's the same sort of mix of police forces you've seen before, although only at a distance, thankfully. There's the obvious flat-foots, the low on the totem pole boys in blue, who walk around in highly armed groups, but are walking around. Their body armor is thick and segmented. It looks like it's put together in pieces. It's narrow and thin around the joints, and thick and heavy anywhere that doesn't need to bend. There's a helmet that connects to a neck collar that looks like it's made of some sort of plastic or metal, perhaps, rings of metal. Below that, the segmented chest piece and back piece sort of clip together at the sides in some mechanism that's not clear from a distance. It all attaches to some very bulky leg wrappings. Around and down their arms, they have heavy-duty extended sections. You imagine that they could use them to try and keep the more thinly armored sides of their bodies more or less fully enclosed, although that would prevent them from lifting their arms if they did so. And again, at the joints, at each place, there's a thin ringed section, much like around the neck, joining the pieces of armor. Their hands and their feet are covered with thick, and from the way they moved, potentially power-assisted pieces that flex unnaturally. You can see in some cases they actually reverse, such that they can grip forwards and backwards. You suspect that the underlying anatomy of the person inside, it must have been altered along with the equipment, or else they're going to be very uncomfortable when they try one of those grips. But these are just the regular soldiers, the grunts who go about in groups of 10 or 20, and you haven't seen them do much beyond deal with occasional incidents of violence, some that they've instigated. Somebody's too drunk to get off the street, they might kick him into the gutter, but they don't seem much interested beyond that. Unless someone's actively firing or someone's being murdered right in front of them, they mostly just walk. They're not the real problem. The real problem are the knights. The knights are entirely encased in something that you might have heard referred to as power armor, but it's really more like a complete small mechanoid. The human being inside, if indeed there is one, it's hard to confirm, is entirely invisible from the outside. The top swivels like a turret and has multiple different, it looks like camera apertures of some kind, heavily armored behind diamonds, panes, facing in each and every direction, above as well as looking all around them. The section below is just one big armored cone of sorts with multiple projections. Some of them have two arms like a humanoid. Some of them have weapons that project directly from the chest or from the sides. Each of them is a little bit different, as though they were all bespoke work, but they all look like they're meant for significant violence. And the legs beneath are not jointed in the same way that a human leg would be. They bend backwards, more like a goat leg, or perhaps a chicken leg. And they have long and segmented feet that reach out in toes that grip the ground underneath of them. You can see the cracks and the deep indents that they leave in the concrete as they move. There's a great deal of weight behind each and every one of them. They tend to swivel at the midsection or swivel at the top turret when they move to look around them rather than to actually change position. But you know that they can do short hops to quickly swivel and to move in place, as well as to come up to a very fast, much faster than any of you could running speed if they're provoked to do so. Cyrus and Kale, you've seen this once, and you saw someone try and seek shelter inside a building, and the knight simply ran through the outer walls of the building and through the miscreant inside, and then through the other side. There was a thin red paste decorating the armored suit when it came back out.
For clarification on that, when you say run through, do you mean like they teleported through the walls, or like they just busted through like the Kool-Aid Man?
They left a great big hole.
Okay, all right, Kool-Aid Man style. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
There's a lot of activity and excitement around the regular police officers and the people coming out of the building, but each of the knights has a significant threshold around them. Nobody seems particularly eager to get too close.
How many knights are there that we can see?
That you can see, 6.
That's too many.
Actually, it's 2 times 3, but
GM, what else is there? Do they have anything in terms of like, are they barricading the door, or are they just actively maintaining a presence in front of it?
It wouldn't be right to say that they're barricading it. They haven't put any barricades up or any obstructions. The obstructions are more of a impromptu sort. Mm-hmm. They themselves, the police forces and the knights, are standing in sort of a loose perimeter around the entranceway. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the barrier is just this mass of people gawking and trying to see what's going on.
Right.
Can we see from here if anybody is being taken out actively?
Yes. There are people who are being slowly but surely removed from the building. Would any of you like to make an intellect roll?
I could do it.
All right.
I can.
Intellect roll of difficulty 2.
Okay. Difficulty 2. I have an edge of 2.
Then if you wanted to put effort in, it would only cost you 1. But I don't think you need to for a difficulty 2 roll.
Okay.
We'll see.
2.
Just don't roll 5 or below.
No effort. I lost my... Sorry, guys.
There you go.
We've done it.
No problem. Kale, it's pretty clear to you, having walked just through this section of the building recently, that all the people getting carted out are the wounded who are on the ground level.
Okay.
There doesn't seem to be anybody who's entering into this drop ship or whatever it is the knights have brought here that weren't wounded or sick.
Okay, so it's just the sick and wounded. So no one else.
So it would seem.
does it look like they're being manhandled, or are they being handled with care?
Somewhere in between. It's pretty clear that they have the appropriate equipment for moving these people. But at the same time, you do see some people who probably shouldn't be walking, and when they stumble, nobody tries to assist them. In fact, when one of them falls, the most attention that they give them is to prod them with their foot and gruffly order them to move on. A couple of their fellows help them up. The police do not.
And where are they? What are they funneling them to? Is there like a big truck or something that they're moving them into?
The helicarrier or whatever it is?
That's right. There is a very large metallic vessel of some kind. It's not clear how it would move because it looks basically like another building.
Right.
But it wasn't here when you left, and it's occupying the full area in front of the building.
Right.
In front of steak sauce.
Now, With them being the sick and wounded, and I'm assuming myself and Themrir have been working closely with the doctor over the past week, do we, myself or Themrir, recognize any of them?
Absolutely. You didn't get too much on a first name basis with the patients, although you've been working with a doctor. The doctor has been careful in exposing you to the general population of the building as little as possible.
Yeah.
You've mostly been helping her with resources, and Themrir has been sort of her weapon of last resort. And by the time people are coming to Themrir for that assistance, they're no longer in a state where they can really recognize faces. But you both do recognize some faces and say, oh yeah, I remember him. I brought him, back from the edge of death. Or, oh yes, I was the one who brought him that cup of water when he really needed it.
I removed that one's cancer. he says under his breath.
I point towards the heavily armored policemen, not necessarily recognizing them as such. Who are these, and what are they doing in front of this building?
Those are officers. I wouldn't mess with them if I was you, Tad.
These are these planet's law enforcement.
The more heavily armored ones are what people call the knights. I think even for you, they would put up a fight.
Perhaps. I do not know what they are composed of. But
Cyrus.
I am programmed not to engage law enforcement unless necessary.
Good. Cyrus, we need more information, and I can't be seen by them.
Understood. Cyrus wants to look around the crowd. You mentioned we've seen some relatively familiar faces. So I guess Cyrus would look for someone who would be on decent terms with him and see if he can't pump them for information, see what's really going on.
All right. A few of the faces look at you and then look away as though they don't want to draw some sort of trouble on themselves. Others nod at you companionably. One of them actually waves and lifts a cup in your direction.
I was hoping I'd get to talk to him. I want to walk over to Cup.
Oh boy.
It's Cup.
Also, just for reference, when we came across the scene, I kind of put my hood back up and tried to blend into the shadows as best as I could.
Okay.
So they wouldn't notice the creepy dude.
Me too.
Looking
I
out
also
from the
blend into
shadows.
The shadows. I also do that though.
Oh, I hide behind Kale because he is the shadows. So he said it himself.
Nice. Makes sense.
Yeah, get behind me, man.
All right. I'll hold on to that, and I might ask you for something
Yep,
in a
that's
little
fine.
bit as a result.
I'm just trying not to be seen by the cops, so.
Cyrus, the fellow who raised the cup in your direction waits for your approach, nods at you. Good to see you. Well, not me. I'm perfectly healthy and lubricated, thanks to you.
Glad to hear it. What brings the knights to our little slice of heaven?
You tell me, man.
I
Just come storming in here 40 minutes ago. It's hard to tell time. But yeah, just ripped right in, started going floor by floor, completely locked the place down. By the time, I'm up on the top floors, so by the time they got there, it's basically all over. And they just kicked us all out onto the street. They said we can go back in, though, once they've finished evacuating the injured.
Evacuating the injured? What was something going on before they showed up? Like bad brawl or what?
As far as I'm aware, it was just business as usual. Doc doing her thing,
And I don't suppose you've seen the doc since they kicked you out of the building, have you?
He looks suddenly troubled and looks in the distance. I haven't. I would have expected her to be front and center. Shit, you don't think they did something to the doc? Or did the doc do something and that's why they're here? Man, I knew that had to be an act, right? Nobody's just that generous. She must have done something.
Could be. You never know with people, but some tells me the doc was a straight shooter. I don't know. Could be
I guess
she
you know
locked
best.
herself in the morgue, something like that.
Well,
They didn't.
if you do see her, let her know that I guess all her patients are gone. I guess she's kind of done. Maybe she could set up for the next batch. But I guess these guys are all being taken care of. It's a load off of us anyways. I was actually kind of hoping that the Knights were here to deliver the next shipment. It's been a while, longer than usual. It'll be nice not to have all these mouths to feed.
Do you know, just Rob, you said you were like on the top floor. When did you get kicked out? Like 20, 30 minutes ago?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Hasn't been too long. I walked across from here to a little shop section there, and I was taking a look around and hanging out with my girl, and then came back here to enjoy the show.
Okay. Thanks for calling me in.
Anytime. Thanks for the cup.
Anytime. I'll hopefully see you in there, but I got some other stuff to do on the streets, so I'm gonna take off.
You guys have been busy today, eh? I haven't seen you around the building at all.
Yeah, you haven't heard my name come up at all, have you?
Well, I mean, people in the building are always talking about you. But
Cyrus on the like low key points at the cops. You haven't heard my name come up, have you?
Oh. No.
Good. Don't worry, you haven't done anything too bad. Just you never know what these guys are coming around for.
Sure.
All right, I'll see you in there. Stay safe.
Okay. His look at you is a little bit less trusting than it was when you started off, and he looks, how you might expect someone who was self-concerned to be a little worried that he might have been seen standing with trouble. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And he sort of sidles off.
Yeah. We both sidle in opposite directions.
Kale turns to Cyrus. You don't think, and he points to the cops. You don't think they're talking about me, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty heinous, brother. I don't know. They might have heard about your reputation back where we're from.
Fuck.
What's their motto again? Something, destroy the darkness? I don't know. Doesn't bode well for you, though, brother.
Yeah, no kidding.
I wouldn't start any conversations with them if I were you. Just try and keep your head down,
Kale puts his hand, towards Task's chest. You gotta be careful here, man.
Are you speaking to me? I told you I'm programmed not to engage with law enforcement unless necessary.
Exactly. That's the attitude I want to see.
So what are our next steps from here? Do we need to get in the building?
Well, I was hoping to see the doc, but I don't know if it's really worth. You got somewhere else to be. I don't know if trying to step through this mess is worth handing off these tickets I got to her.
Have you attempted to ask them for access?
Yeah, we haven't done that just yet.
Alternatively, if you need confirmation that the doc is okay, I can slip in and out pretty easily.
That may not be the worst idea. Maybe we'll just start by putting it this way. Task, that scene at the bar, everything that happened there, not exactly the kind of attention you want pinned to yourself. The response would have been pretty fast, so I don't think that's what this is about, but if they pair us to that, it probably wouldn't look too good for us.
What kind of weapons do these law enforcement officers carry?
Out of character, Chris.
What do we know?
What do we know?
None of you are able to identify it by name. For you, Cyrus and Kale, you recognize their guns, but they're heavier duty weapons. They're heavier duty weapons than anything that you had back in your world that wasn't ship mounted.
Yeah.
Oh, Gatling guns. Nice.
Not lasers like bullets, right? We're talking.
But they're firing actual projectiles, yes, physical projectiles. You do know, you've heard enough and seen enough to know that they shift between a variety of different kinds of rounds that do different things. You have seen an explosive round in use and don't want to see that again. Various things that didn't really exist back where you came from, where, you shot somebody with a bullet and that was basically what you did. Here, they seem to have a complex array of different kinds of weapons and calibers and casings at their disposal that all do specialized things. As far as you're concerned, Themrir and Zaniel, they have magic sticks that they point at things, and projectiles come out, and they do bad stuff. Like you know what guns are. You've got you've got the nomenclature down. But like the details of explosive tipped bullets and armor piercing rounds, they just go whatever.
It'd probably equate to like technological range weapons, something like that.
And you'd be like, you would be very at home with a wand of fireballs, and you guess basically this is their version of that, right? It seems anybody can use it. It doesn't seem to be keyed specifically to anybody, although you have not had the opportunity to give this a test. And they seem to be able to activate it with sheer physical force, just the pulling of a trigger or manipulation of some other controls. It doesn't seem to require an activation word or any particular understanding of rituals involved with it. Although you have seen some of them do more specific things where they press buttons alongside one weapon. So presumably there is more to the magic than simply point and shoot.
So, wand of plot bullets. Gotcha.
Yeah.
There's something going on.
Can I? I mean, I guess this
I'll
is.
assume you. I'll assume you relate that information to task, so you don't have to repeat.
Yeah, I'll just.
Wand of SMGs.
I don't know what your idea or what your notion of firearms is, but they got about the best ones I've ever seen from a mobile capacity.
Right. So you describe them in task as nothing more than just nod at you. I understand.
Chris, as a point just of knowledge for Themrir, would his background have allowed him to understand what a gun is?
Yes. Yes, I think by this point, you've been here about a weekish. By this point, you have a fairly good.
I mean, prior to that.
Again, well, in the D&D source book, like guns are a thing, but you probably.
I mean, between that and
advanced,
what he did in the interim.
Well, I'm also thinking it depends on like what and how many worlds we jumped into and through, right?
Well, Themrir came straight here from his pocket dimension.
Oh,
Correct.
Well,
You are one who has been journeying for a while, but in either case, there is an element of understanding that comes with who and what you are, so that you recognize that these are things that are intended for violence and death. But the specifics of how they go about accomplishing that is lost on you. It really doesn't matter. Right?
Yeah,
your role is generally after people have.
Yes.
yeah, so we probably have the
this is how they're
understanding
gonna
to
go about
like,
Yeah.
if somebody were to teach us how to use them, we could probably use them, but we don't really understand the internal machinations that allow them to work.
No. Internals, no.
Yeah.
How people die because of them, yes.
Holes, bad.
Hole's bad, basically.
Unless you're cheese.
I like that. That works.
But there's
for
no
me.
cheese here. Unless you were turned into cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho.
I will say, I'm a bit worried since what these guys are here to do are to take the patients, I'm a little worried that the doc might have opposed that. That's why there's an abundant lack of her presence. Hopefully that's not the case, but Zaniel, if you said you can slip in. If you think you can do it without any problems, that might be the best way to go about this right now.
I can do it myself. However, if we do need somebody else to tag along with me, that does complicate things.
It may be necessary for me to join you on account of my... And he gestures to his face. Visage. Also, we don't know if anybody else is injured in there. They may need emergency medical attention.
It's less about how we look, Themrir, and more so that I'm not marked.
Quite.
So if somebody is fast enough to keep up with me.
Well,
I could potentially pull somebody along, but that could potentially rip off their arm too.
I think if it's as dangerous as you say, maybe just a one-man show. But only if you think there's not much risk behind it. Like I said, I don't know this is a risk we need to take. So it's up to you.
DM, question. My face burnt ability. How much do I know about it? Would I have attempted and know that it's not possible to take people with me when I do it?
You would know that it's going to cost you something if you want to try.
Okay. Gotcha. So, any volunteers to attempt this? Or am I going solo?
I mean, I think you should go solo, but maybe before you do that, I mean, Task is brand new here, so maybe he could talk to one of the cops, one of the low-level guys, see if he can find out if the doc is inside, okay, if we can get in, stuff like that. Only if he wants to. I'm not the...
Let me know.
Task.
I'll be back here, away from the prying eyes. You do what you need to do.
I may be able to try one thing, actually. And, Chris, I have a question.
Summon skeleton army?
No.
Yep.
Can I want to use a player intrusion. Is that the cost of 1 XP?
It is.
Okay. On my sheet, it says my name is a blank who blank, right? Everybody has a sheet that says that. I want to use a key thought of that along with my my disguise ability skill set. Can I effectively use my magical abilities to restructure temporarily my face to become more human-like while still being able to keep it mostly underneath the hood that I'm kind of wearing? To make it so if they get close, I just look really ugly, but I don't look like a dragon for a second.
I would say that your flesh doesn't actually fall under that particular tag, but
Okay.
I will allow that you can make this attempt.
Okay.
Also,
I'm gonna
keep him.
I'm going to look for an intellect roll of difficulty 4 from you.
I also just wanted to bring up that it's not just human people that are here. It's like people and creatures from all shapes and sizes. So I don't think
That's
you would
fair.
stand out too much.
You don't stand out as much as you might in different...
He still looks like a decayed dragon.
Yeah, in different
Yeah.
circumstances. Right now,
Yeah.
someone who's from your home plane would recognize you do not look like you're supposed to. But someone who is not from your home plane might say, I don't know, maybe they all look like that there.
And the one person you know who is from your home plane probably doesn't care. So, and the other person is now dead.
With my disguise ability, I'm trained in it. So does that ease this roll any?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So let's put it at 3.
And then if I wanted to spend an effort, that would bring it down to 2.
Yeah, what?
Okay, then I will do that. I think I rolled that correctly.
Yeah, no problem. And you do it.
Interesting.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, success. All right, there you go. Oh, except you reduced the difficulty to 2 and then you put an effort in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually it's a failure.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was gonna say, do you want me to roll again? But if that's that, then that's that.
I'm going to let you roll it again. We're still kind of learning this system. Let's have it again.
So I
would've
eased
been-
it.
See if the dice
And I had
gods favor you
training.
this time.
Yeah, so the original was 4. The
Okay.
easing brings it down to 3, and because you're putting in effort, so you'd want the difficulty 3.
Be 3
and
with
then the
effort
effort 1. Yeah.
Okay. That makes
Yeah.
more sense. Okay. Difficulty 3. Effort 1. Okay. There we go.
All right.
I reduced
Perfect.
it and then added it again. I'm sorry.
Not to worry. We're all still figuring it out. So, what I'm going to say is that it makes your ability to hide your true nature easier, but it doesn't make it so that somebody who gets a really good look at you is not going to know exactly what they're seeing.
Understandable.
Right? But if someone is just giving you a passing glance or is looking your direction but isn't trying to really get a good sense of what they're looking at, they're going to see nothing much that sticks in the mind.
Okay. I don't know how well that is going to specifically do against men who will be probably looking at me pretty closely, but it's better than nothing.
Better than nothing. Might make a future roll a little easier.
And then as the blue light and smoke kind of fade away, you can see his face a little rounder, a little less obvious. Not exactly what I wanted, but it will do.
All right. So Zaniel, describe for me how it is you're going about this.
The whole getting in and out.
Mm-hmm.
I think the people were going to talk to people first and then let me know if we wanted to do that or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who is planning to converse with whom to make this
Those
decision?
talking people. Let them.
Talking people.
Yeah, so
Jeez.
basically there was talk of maybe Task doing it, maybe Cyrus, and then they would, based on the information they have, I would either go in or not. So.
All right. So Cyrus, Kale, Task. What did you
Task-
want to do? Themrir and Zaniel have sort of locked in their choice of activity and have indicated they're deferring their turn until such a trigger happens.
I have to wait until somebody brings attention to me.
Quick, Themrir, we need a distraction. Blend in.
Dang.
Outside of Kale's tentative hand on my chest, no one has really given me adequate reason why we can't just go up and ask the knights about going inside.
Mhm.
So unless someone physically
Actually, I
jumps in front of me.
suggested maybe you do that. So
Oh, great.
I
then
wouldn't even stop you if you tried.
okay.
Now,
Before you move off, Kale has left his hand there for quite a long time. He's like,
oh,
Hey, Kale,
hey,
Wow.
coaching on my
This is very
girlfriend.
firm.
Kale, remember what I told you about personal boundaries? So when it's someone like me, it's okay, but we don't know Task very well yet. So maybe just ease off a little bit.
sorry, Task. Oh, you just, you're
Now,
huge.
I also did mention that I couldn't be
I
seen
am
because
average
I don't
size.
have a mark. So what Task would take from that is up to you. Because presumably you would also not have a mark.
Has
Depending on-
Task had shared with him the details of the mark at this point? I don't think anybody mentioned it.
No,
No.
he has no idea. So
Yeah.
he just walks up-
We're talking specifically about the tattoos we have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Chris mentioned that I, for some reason, don't have one. So
Failed to mention that. Whoops.
I
Yeah,
also
Task-
don't have
nobody's
one,
mentioned-
which is
Nobody's
we'll
mentioned that
see.
to Task, so Task just walks up to the nearest knight errant, or whatever. The first.
Are you going towards a police officer or towards a knight?
A police officer. I'm just
Okay.
trying to find someone on the perimeter who's not actively like carting someone through, and I just stand and very matter of fact. I don't like tap them on the shoulder or anything. I just try to stand so that eventually they catch me. I don't speak until I think they've seen me.
Okay. The officers see you approach. They're taking a pretty serious look around them as they stand there. They have their rifles at sort of the 3/4 mark, right? Not straight up and pointed at anybody, but ready to move into that position on a moment's notice. And as soon as you start approaching, two of the other officers nearby go into sort of a flanking position, and they both take a long step to the side and point their weapons, again, 3/4 mark in your direction, while the one who you're immediately approaching just turns to face you. He nods, and his voice is minorly muffled behind his mask, but is otherwise just the voice of a regular person.
Right.
Yes, what can I do for you?
Task gives a little bow. Greetings, officer of the law enforcement. I have an ally within the building that I wish to speak with. I do not see them out here, so I need to enter.
No one can enter right now. Are you registered with this building?
Can I ask why I may not enter?
As soon as you answer my question, are you registered with this building?
I am not.
Then you can't enter this building under any circumstances. Why are you asking?
I will repeat my statement from earlier. We have an ally within the building that we wish to speak to. They are not out here, so we wish to enter.
The officer looks towards one of his fellows who steps up with a piece of equipment that he lifts off of his belt towards you. Can I see your tattoo? Lift your hand.
My skin is not able to be emitted tattoos. I have no markings of any kind.
Oh, these tattoos take on everyone. Lift your left hand.
I will do as you ask.
And of course, sees your unblemished skin.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. We'll have to take him with us. How did you get in here?
I fell through a transdimensional portal from another reality.
The officers look at each other and then back at you, and they lift their weapons now. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your honesty. If you wouldn't mind coming with us, you can join the stream of individuals entering the vehicle.
May I ask where these individuals are being taken, and thus me?
These are injured, sick people. They'll all be taken to the free hospital.
I see. Why do you wish to take me there? I am neither injured nor sick.
But you're unregistered. You have to be registered. Let's go.
Cass squints his eyes, but he doesn't do anything else, so he starts walking towards the vehicle.
Turn off your empathy center.
So
The officers step aside to allow you to pass them, but they carefully watch you as you do. And then one of them gets on a comm. Unregistered individual just walked up to us out of the blue. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to pack him in with the rest. Looks like he is... Actually, you know what? I think he was with a group. We'll send some people out. Okay. Is that really necessary? Very well. Sir, if you wouldn't mind just waiting right here at the entrance to the carrier. You were with some other people?
Cass turns back around to face him. Yes.
Would you mind pointing to them for us?
Cass does so.
Thank you, sir.
As soon as Cyrus sees Task pointing towards him, he tries to slip into the crowd.
Looks like they don't want to be caught. All right, very well. The officer goes over to one of where the knights are, leaving the other two watching you. And you see him quickly punch something in on a panel that's on his own arm, and the knight's turreted head swivels and looks down, and then goes back, and you see suddenly tiny little things explode out of its shoulders and go up from it. And there's a whirring, hissing noise, kind of like really angry, fast-moving mosquitoes as the things start zipping out in different various directions.
I have a lock on them. You may return to your position, officer.
Can Cyrus sees these things fly up in the air, and he actually steps back out of the crowd. He goes, "Oh, Task, there you are. I'm just gonna come over there. You just wait right there. I'm on my way."
Very well, Cyrus. I'm just speaking with the law enforcement officers.
One of the little angry mosquito things hovers very close to you suddenly, Cyrus. It moves around your head a full 360 before you can really blink, and then is just out of reach above you. Kale, you find something similar end up quite near you. It settles almost to your skin for a moment and then quickly zips back up just out of reach over your head. Themrir, Zaniel, a few of them head in your direction, but they seem to have a difficult time figuring out where exactly it is they're supposed to be going. They start hovering over various people in the crowds. They zip in and out quickly, discarding targets. They're heading in your direction, but they don't seem to know quite where you are or what it is they're looking for. If you would like to do something, I'm going to give you this much time to decide what it is you're going to do.
Jigs up! Book it! I'm going to take this opportunity to activate my face sprint to try and get in the building.
All right, very good. Are you going to try and take anyone with you?
No, I don't have time to consider that.
All right.
Seeing what's happening in kind of like slow motion, it's like, no, like that type of thing. So I can do it up to 500 feet. I'm assuming the building is within 500 feet.
It certainly is.
Okay. So I try to stick to the shadows, try to find like an optimum Assassin's Creed route of not being seen, and sneak into the building somehow.
All
Now,
right.
one thing I will leave up to you is whether I can phase through walls and such. So
I will get back to you on that.
okay.
Themrir, I'm going to give you the same opportunity to react.
Oh, I don't know what this is, and I don't have anything that will specific unless it's unless this
too
counts
late.
as. Sorry, hold on. I do have one question. Does this count as a character ability or ongoing effect?
I guess it could count as an ongoing effect of sorts. I might allow it depending on what it is you want to do as a result.
I have a ability called countermeasures that lets me immediately end one ongoing effect, such as an effect created by a character ability. And I can use it as a defense action to cancel an incoming ability targeted at you.
I think that applies. Would you like to try and prevent the drones from honing
Being
in
able
on
to...
you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Does this cost you anything?
It cost me 4.
Okay. So pay the costs. Remember to use your edge to discount it.
Yep. Okay.
The drones start zeroing in, having discarded target after target. It's pretty clear that now they think they have the scent, as it were. Themrir, a pair of drones heads in your direction and then suddenly just gets lost. They have no idea, it seems, what they're doing. They bang into each other in the air and fall to the ground and sort of wiggle around there, their delicate little rotors damaged by just trying to be in your presence. It's easy for you to slip away into the crowd at this point while the knight is focused elsewhere, expecting that his equipment will work without fail. Zaniel, in your turn, with the drones closing in, you simply aren't there anymore. As fast as they move, they're meant to handle people, not whatever it is you are. You move much faster and much further than any being should be able to under normal circumstances. And indeed, the wall of the building is, a meter thick, maybe 1.5 meters here at the base. And then there's another wall beyond that, of course, and another wall beyond that. but you simply skip some of the intervening spaces as you go, step after step after step. And you find yourself inside the building in the ground floor. I will come back to the both of you in just a moment.
Oh, we're screwed. Split the party, yes.
Classic.
We did it, guys.
Meanwhile, the other three are going to where we're supposed to be going.
Yeah, we were just getting a ride as well.
Cyrus, Kale, with the drones hovering just sort of out of reach, even if you were to try to reach up for them, they would adjust accordingly. It's hard for you to imagine that you could slip notice at this point. What are you doing as a result?
As I mentioned, I had slipped back out of the crowd and pretended like I noticed Task. I know that he's with officers, so I would just raise my hands unassumingly. May I have permission to approach officers?
The officers look at you a lot more leerily than they did Task. You might have forgotten it, but they haven't forgotten the rifle that's slung
That's
on
why
your
my
body.
hands are up. That's why my hands are up.
They haven't raised their weapons beyond that 3/4 mark for the most part, but more of them are apparently alerted by some sort of communication system between them, and many of them are looking in your direction now, more than are looking around the circle in any other direction at this point. One officer nods in your direction, waves you in. Keep your hands up. You can approach slowly.
I do so. I noticed that you're having a bit of a conversation with my friend here, and all of a sudden this drone was around my head. I was wondering what seems to be the problem, officer.
Registration? Are you registered at this building?
That I am. May I raise my hand in order to show you?
The officer looks at you, raises an eyebrow. Your hands are already raised.
Sorry, may I extend my hand in order to show you is what I meant to say.
Not necessary. And he looks to his companion who comes over with that same device from his belt, and they sort of lift it in line with your left hand. And although you know you have a tattoo there, under most circumstances, it's not like an ink tattoo that's immediately visible, but you can always feel the tracery on your hand. And in fact, for the first week after you received it, it ached terribly whenever you tried to use that left hand. Now it's more like the memory of pain that you can feel tracing its way into the various branches and the deep root system that sort of ended hanging off of your wrist. They run the scanner, if indeed that's what it is, across your hand quickly, and then they turn to Kale as well. Are you with him? Are you registered at this building? You're hesitating, sir.
Law enforcement makes him nervous. Apologies.
He's my friend.
He is registered to this building, officer.
Yeah, that too.
Hands up.
Hands are up.
And he runs the same scanner across your hand. Very well. Confirmed. Bring them in. And a couple of the officers step aside and they keep their weapons on you, this time at the ready, as they walk you inside the circle. You said you're friends with this unregistered?
Yeah, well,
How
acquaintance.
did you meet?
I literally just met this guy.
How did you meet?
We met him. We met him at the bar, at the Water Hole.
The bar? Which bar?
Crucified Man.
And the officers look at each other. I'll send a runner. All right. Assuming your story checks out, and nobody here tells us otherwise, you can join the rest of them. We're taking the injured and the sick to the free hospital. They should never have been left to the mercies of some gutter cutter.
You
You can put your hands down now.
Thank you. I know we maybe got off on the wrong foot. If you don't mind, I actually had to be personal friends with that gutter cutter. I was wondering if you might point me to her whereabouts.
Yes, her safety is why we approached in the first place.
She's safe. It's up to her how safe.
Has she broken a law?
Not yet. I'm going to pause right there, and we'll come back to you in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Zaniel, Themrir, inside of the building, well, not you, Themrir, sorry, Zaniel, inside of the building is pandemonium. The place is filled with officers who are currying people towards the exit. There's a lot of people who are too wounded to move, who are getting loaded up onto these little hover platforms. Not very politely, but not too roughly either. There seems to be at least the tacit understanding that they should arrive in not too much worse a condition than they're leaving. The place was already a noisy mess of people groaning and, in various states of dying throughout. Now it is even worse. But you do recognize slipping in and out of the crowd, trying to calm officers down when they start getting riled up by complaints or by things not going smoothly, trying to keep the patients in particular calm and move everything along. One of the doctor's assistants, a tall, lanky man with a bald head and the upright stance of a soldier, in your opinion. He approaches another patient nearer to you, calming them down as they complain about how thirsty they are. I'm sorry, we don't have the ability to... They took all of our resources, but I'm sure that they'll have something for you on the other end. Okay. Yes, I know. I know. Just bear with it. It shouldn't be long. They're going to take you in a carrier. Those things transit fast. You'll be there before you know it. Okay. You're not a patient. You are one of the doctor's helpers.
Yes.
Zach. No. Zach.
It's Zaniel, but I appreciate the effort.
Sorry, I'm terrible with names. I'm really glad I saw you. Where's the rest of the group? I don't suppose Cyrus is with you. We could use his help. These people need a leader.
Yes. Cyrus is preoccupied, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, maybe you'll do. Would you mind coming back with me to the morgue?
Out of character, who is this guy? Sorry.
He's just one of the helpers that you've seen hovering around Doc.
Okay, so he's a friendly then. All right.
He's a med student.
Okay, I was trying to figure out, do I need to snap this guy's neck? No? Great.
I guess that remains to be seen.
Sure, yeah. Lead the way. I actually came in to make sure the doc was doing okay.
Oh, perfect. This way then. Although he tries to lead you fairly quickly, he keeps stopping in order to talk to someone, to calm someone, to try and get someone something, to find a blanket. He has, little medical supplies on a belt all around his waist, and he keeps pulling things out and stopping to the point where it's leaving you a little bit frustrated with the finally, he curries you along to the morgue entrance. Here, the door is sealed shut, and he knocks in a specific sequence on the door, and you hear the wheel lock release from the inside. Yeah, come in. It's not like I'm busy in here. I'll return to you in just a moment, Zaniel. Themrir, you sort of faded away from observation. I don't think that the knight knows. No, it's not a usual thing for drones to fail. At least as far as you can see, nobody seems to be paying you any attention. Possibly your efforts to disguise yourself to make yourself a little bit less obtrusive have also aided in simply disappearing into the crowd. At this point, you're a free agent, but your team seems to be otherwise occupied.
Okay. How for reference, how tall is steak sauce?
It is. Let's take a quick look at my notes to make sure I don't.
Does it count as
misspeak.
within long range to get to the top?
It's about.
Of it?
Yeah, it's got about 50 floors. Each floor is about 12 feet, roughly, plus, give or take some margin between the floors. So you're probably looking at, 500-ish, maybe 600-ish.
Yeah, so long would be up to 100 feet. Very long is up to 500.
Okay, I wasn't sure what the difference was on there.
I'm your range man. Here we go.
Are there any open windows
Thanks, Kirk.
10 floors up? Yeah, are there any open windows on this or the side face of the building?
Yes. Not
Yes.
open per se, but missing, yes.
Okay.
broken.
If I am, hi honey, if I am partially disguised, or at least I'm kind of scot-free for a second, I can still get into the building stealthily. I have a move called Far Step, which will let me leap through the air and land some distance away. You can jump up, down, or across to anywhere you choose within long range if you have a clear and unobstructed path through that location, and I land safely.
All
I
right.
could try to get in a couple floors up, go and work my way down in order to be, continue to be safe. If the cops are outside, they might not have gotten too far in yet. But if they are above us, that's also a good thing to know.
I think you're exactly right in that you could get into almost any floor. If you went around the building far enough, you could find a window open, or rather missing, on just about any floor.
Okay.
It's a good thing there's a lot of flying dragons in the air.
Let me
in.
see what it's like to go in like 5 floors. I take a jump. It's got a high arc in order to make sure that I'm probably a little less seen. And I would land somewhere on one of the 5th floor windows. And
So are you going to try and take off from where you are right now, or are you going to try and move around the building before you do so, or what?
yeah, I would circle the building to find a better spot. That would be
Okay.
a little easier to do that for.
All right. Well, in that case, I won't ask for the additional roll, which was going to be, do people see you suddenly, leaping a tall building in a single
Yeah.
bound? Instead, I will say that you accomplish that as soon as you've paid the cost. I think that's free for you, in fact.
It is free for me, actually.
And then you head right in. You don't find any opposition at this point. It seems dead in the building, except for the sounds that you can hear from the ground floor. And you remember that it seems like a lot of the people who live in this building, possibly all of them, had already been pushed out to the streets.
Does it sound like there's any scuffling or like heavy footsteps or anything? Because if these are the cops or the knights that are in here, they have considerable weight that would be on the floors above me. So if in the immediate couple of floors, maybe a rumble from a couple above, or if they're directly above me, any stomps or movement, would I be
I'm
able
going
to
to
get any?
have an intellect roll with difficulty 3 from you.
Sure. Well, no.
It's difficult for you to be sure where the sounds are coming from. There's a lot of echo in a concrete box like this building ultimately is. And there's a lot of noise coming from the ground floor, and you're not too far away from there. You do get the sense that you're not alone in the building, and it's not just people on the ground floor. But this is more what it means for you to be aware of life than it is for you to be aware of what it is that you are sensing.
Right.
You know that there's more life in this building than just below you, but what does that mean? Who is it?
Then I guess from here I would start trying to make my way down some stairs to see if I can get to the medical, the office or somewhere that I've seen the doctor previously, or where
Perfect.
the doctor would hang out.
Perfect. When you manage to make your way back to the ground floor, you find that things have progressed a bit since Zaniel was here, although, of course, you have no way of comparing that. And the floor is starting to empty out. The knights have made an orderly push from the back to the front. And the back third of the place is almost empty at this point. The officers are clearly drawing a tighter line together as they believe they have all the people that they need to move in front of them. And that actually means that the back section of this floor, where the morgue is, and where you've seen the doctor operating before, is basically unoccupied at this point. It might be difficult to slip back past the police officer without being noticed, without some sort of trick or some cleverness, but you wouldn't have them in your way if you did. So I will come back to you in a moment as you consider that.
Please.
Zaniel, we're actually going to go back to you next. When the door opens at the back, you're able to walk through with no problem, and then somebody inside of it closes it, pushes it shut behind you again. Not bothering to keep the cold in this time, just want to keep the unfriendlies out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The fellow who's closed the door just nods at you, and you can see the doctor sitting on a gurney inside. She's running a curved needle through her abdomen, sort of absentmindedly, quickly stitching something up. You can see that there's a few wounds on her torso, but they look a lot less severe than you might at first expect. There's a tiny little trickle of blood from a couple of them, and the one that she's currently working on seems to be more surface level than anything else. Zaniel. Well, I'm glad that you made it back in one piece. Where is Cyrus?
He's preoccupied.
Well, as long as he's steering clear of those knights out there, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why he would. No. Anyways, the thing's all gone to shit, but it gets you off the hook at least.
What happened?
They revoked my license.
Why?
Hell if I know. Honestly, Zaniel, I haven't shared much about the outside world, but it's, beyond the refugee camps, just hasn't been time. It's all a big dog and pony show. I think they want these people on camera heading into the free hospital. It'll look good, right? Things aren't as bad as the refugee camps, as you've heard. Look at all these people getting free healthcare. I don't know what it's like where you come from, but that's kind of a big deal here.
We had a semblance of free healthcare, but not like the way you have it.
Well, apparently my 3 years of service in here means jack shit, because out I must go. They gave me 1 hour, make it to the wall and deliver myself to, the decontamination squad. Run me through the nasty foams and then back out into the world. I guess I'll pick up my private practice again.
So you're free then?
Free-ish.
At least from here anyways.
More free than you, Zaniel, I guess. I'm sorry.
It's to be seen.
I objected, but they weren't interested in my objections. And I have people on the outside who they'd make things difficult for if I was too strenuous.
So you're safe from being harmed, but what are those injuries then?
Oh, these weren't the knights. They're too disciplined for this. And also, they would have killed me. This was just some gangbanger that we were treating going off when the police started walking in. Pulled a submachine gun out from under layers of clothes, started firing off, spraying and praying. I had to get in the way to prevent him from hitting a patient. But no big deal. And she bangs the wound that she's still closing with one finger. And unlike the bloody squelch you might have expected, there's sort of a dull thump. Just hit the plating.
I see. Meta character, who is the other person in here who ended up closing the door?
It's another one of the orderlies
Okay.
/ ex-military who've been hanging out with the doctor and helping.
Okay. So, Doc, I need to ask any more information on that copy-paste dude?
The cut and paste killer. I was hoping that I would be able to drill Cyrus for the answers. I don't suppose you have anything to share with me.
Well, we have a lead, and it appears that lead is the hospital.
The hospital. I'm not the only doctor who came in to the refugee camps with the intention of saving lives, fixing broken people, making an awful situation a little less awful.
Mm-hmm.
The only one who stuck it out for quite this long, though. And I had chalked that up to just being a little tougher than your average intern. Although those 12-hour days, they'll toughen you up or kill you. I wonder if they all receive the same kind of pressure to get out. And they just finally got around to this camp.
Well, the phases were surgically removed, weren't they not? The precision that would be needed by someone in your profession.
You're right. They're attached back to the muscle. I hadn't actually ever seen that done before, not even by robotics.
So,
I don't know
any.
How you would do it, actually.
Do you know any doctors who may have come in with good intentions, but have ulterior motives?
The Free Hospital isn't like our volunteer organization. They're funded by the government, and I had heretofore assumed that it was just part of the dog and pony show.
Out of character for a sec. I, as a player, know the information about the saggy face man, being that he has a saggy face. Was that shared to me in character? I can't quite remember.
Yeah, you were there when Themrir was doing the questioning.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay. I just, did that happen in character, or am I just crazy? Oh, bit of both, okay.
Always a bit of both.
Okay. Well, Doc, the little bit of information we do know is someone with a sagging face.
I don't know. Could be someone who really got into some strange augs. Could be somebody who likes that sort of thing. I mean, they're all fetishes aplenty. You can get whatever skin grafts you want done these days.
Do you know the names of the other doctors that were in here?
No. Like I said, the Free Hospital is a completely different organization. Well-funded, government-controlled. I haven't heard anything in particular about it, and I presume I would have if there was some sort of big stink. But I gotta be honest with you, Zaniel. The amount of attention that they're paying to the people in the refugee camps is just enough. And mostly it's focused on keeping you in. If something was off about one of the hospitals, as long as it didn't leak out to the rest of the country, rest of the city, I don't know if anybody would particularly care.
Has anyone that's been injured or sick that went into that hospital ever come out again? At least on this side.
I've treated people who say that they have had to choose between steak sauce and the free hospital, and they came here because the reputation was that you came out alive. But does that mean the free hospital is bad? I can't imagine it could be. The whole point is that you get sick people going in and happy, smiling people going out. Otherwise, what the cameras have to look for.
All right, well, here's two things. One, appears they're clearing out the whole building, and that you need to get out of here before something perhaps happens. Maybe they're demolishing the place. Maybe they're doing something else. Who knows?
It's not that bad. From what they've told me, they're letting everybody back in as soon as they've taken all the sick and wounded. Honestly, it's probably going to be better for the people who are left here. Not in not having any health care anymore, as much as I could give them. But they'll have more resources spread across fewer bodies.
Yeah. Second, I need to get into the free hospital.
If you're injured, I can help.
No. But any information you have of the place, back doors or anything like that to get into, staff that may be friendly, anything like that, that could help.
I was a private practicing doctor before I gave up and decided to try something different. Zaniel, the political structure of our country has changed, of our world, a lot in my lifetime. And I'm just one person. I couldn't do much about it. My giving up my practice and coming in here was the greatest act of rebellion I could come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Government doctors are on a completely different plane of thought. They have bought in heart and soul, sold that soul. They agree with what the government is doing, and we wouldn't get along if we were in the same room. Let's just put it that way. I don't know them, and I don't care to. As far as the building goes, I know that it was built on an old Ares Macrotech site. Probably built out of an old Ares Macrotech site. The whole point is to keep the costs low, right? Keep the taxpayers happy. I couldn't tell you what exactly that site's about. It's 10 stories tallish, and probably has a sub-basement or two, but secret entrances? I mean, it's a hospital.
I see.
I don't suppose it's particularly secure, though. I know the Knight Errants keep a dispatch site nearby.
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably keeping an eye on who's going in and out, but I haven't heard anything in particular about that.
I see. Well, I appreciate the information nonetheless. And lucky enough, Cyrus is preoccupied by getting loaded onto that carrier. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's different then. Zaniel, I wasn't going to tell you this because it's frankly not going to help. But you guys need to avoid the free hospital. I can't say anything in specific. You might think we're having a private conversation, but we're not. Now that the knights have been in the building, you are going to need to move really soon. And if your friends end up in the free hospital, you're going to need to try and get them out.
Mm-hmm.
The best I can do for you is give you what supplies I have. Medical supplies probably won't do you much good, but you're welcome to whatever you want. And I have a few other things that might be of minor interest to you. And she points towards a section as one of her orderlies starts rolling a rack back. You know, saline bags, blood bags, some needles, some scalpels, and she points towards a large rack of guns and plastic explosives, grenades and the like. I don't know how much of that you can carry, but, you know, help yourself.
If you got a small bag, should be able to handle it.
Bag it.
Good.
Themrir, Zaniel, I'll come back to you.
Yep.
Themrir, you arrive on the scene, like I said, as they're starting to clear things out, and you see the back door open. You can see the doctor just within, waving Zaniel out and pointing out another route that bypasses the majority of the people and the building. Zaniel appears to be carrying a bag. Other than that, it's not clear exactly what's going on here, except that the police officers are starting to empty this spot. It's down to about half at this point, actually. And they're starting to look around to make sure that they haven't left any stragglers behind. So I'm going to ask you, where do you want to go and how do you want to avoid being noticed, if indeed you do want to be?
Well, if Zaniel just came out of the back and talked to the doctor, which I was also about to go do myself, that means he already has information. So, instead of going to talk to her myself, as much as I would like to, it might be faster just to go straight to Zaniel and ask him for a catch-up.
Makes sense. How are you going to try and cross the intervening space without ending up drawing attention to yourself?
Just jump it.
I can't just jump it again. How many people are between the two of us? I know that's
there's actually nobody in between the two of you.
Okay.
But there are a number of officers who are rounding up what's left of the crowd. Still got to be dozens and dozens of people who are being slowly but surely pushed out the front.
I'm assuming if you're walking the opposite direction, they would be like, no, other way.
If they happen to see you.
If people are being pushed out of the front, can I cast push on one of the people that are being pushed by an officer and push them back in towards the officer so that it makes it look like they're resisting and they might call more reinforcements over?
Is this how you pray over people? You cause people to die so
I feel
you can pray
terrible
for them?
doing this. I do. I actually do. But I don't think I'll have any other ways to avoid people unless I cause a scene somewhere else.
I think that you've got an idea that could work. How violent do you want this push to be?
I want them, like, if they're getting pushed, I want them to make it feel like they kind of give an effort, but like not like a full body push retaliation, but like resistance to moving forward enough that it would be noticeable. Like
Right.
when you're walking your dog and your dog stops and it like.
Right. Okay.
Oh my god.
Then go ahead. Let's do that.
Sure.
All right. Telekinetically. All right. Very good. Is this intellect for you?
Yes.
All right. Then it's basically free. Which is quick.
believe
The
so.
force is too crude to be manipulated. Very good. All right. So, something your size or smaller, you're a pretty big dragon man, so you can select, from amongst the beefier fellows who are still left. They're all walking wounded, of course, but there are some heavy-duty guys who probably were part of some gang that the doc was willing to treat. And you can select one of them, or you could select somebody thinner. There are lots of different options, in fact.
Great. Is there any one of them in particular that looks the least banged up?
Sure. One of them looks like maybe he just got a knife wound to a leg, perhaps, something non-critical. He's limping a bit, but he otherwise seems in pretty good shape.
God damn it. God damn it. Yeah, let me use him and push him into a crowd with police and have them have to solve that problem.
All right. I am going to roll a dice for myself, and I will tell you what happens as a result. Okay. The fellow suddenly sort of jerks backwards from the shoulders into the officers that are behind him, and not only into them, but into several of his fellows around him, other walking wounded and people who are on crutches and people who are walking with a walking cast. Some of them get knocked down. A couple of them cry out in surprise and pain. And of course, he bangs his own head and shoulders back against the heavily armored body of one of the officers. The officers obviously don't take any damage as a result, right? They're not hurt by some dude slamming themselves against them, but he does stumble back a few steps. And it's always bad to look like you can be pushed when you're in this situation, because that's how riots can begin. So the officer pushes back really hard and sends this guy flying forward. This guy is a pretty tough looking guy. He doesn't look like the sort of guy who enjoys being pushed around. So after swearing and coming back to his feet, he turns around and pushes again. And now a few officers are looking in that direction, and a couple of them are walking over, and they certainly aren't paying much attention to what's going on in the back at the moment.
Slit?
Oh my god, what did you do?
Ask that in character, man.
So, Zaniel, Themrir, you manage to connect as you take the shadowed path that the doctor has pointed out to you that leads to another more discreet way out besides the front door. This entrance doesn't appear to be an entrance from the outside, but still has a crash bar and an emergency exit section that you can get to.
Before I stepped away from the doc's presence, I would be wanting to say something to her. This could be done while Themrir's walking up.
Okay, so Themrir is making his stealthy but completely discreet and not at all problematic rejoining with you.
Completely non-innocent murdering people riot happening right in front of you. Yeah, totally.
And meanwhile, the doc is trying to urge you on your way.
Look, Doc, I appreciate your effort. You seem to be a kind person. Something I haven't seen in quite some time. Once you're out there, if you see the darkness, something that shouldn't be, something that there should be light and there isn't, make sure you're with your family.
I appreciate the concern, Zaniel, and the sentiment. But honestly, that's the kind of shit that I've been looking at for a long time now. Dark where there ought to be light. Why do you think I'm in here?
Anyways, this is probably the last I'll see of you.
Be safe.
You too.
If you go just straight that way, there is exit that we've concealed. I think we'll still be able to use it after you've gone. You still need to do some packing up around here.
Mm-hmm.
Let him out.
And Doc,
And the door opens.
thank you for your optimism.
There's a point at which you just stop worrying about whether you're going to die or not, Zaniel. I think you might be familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
Themrir is on his way in,
Oh, shit.
and it's kind of noisy behind him. Sounds like some people shouting. Some officers definitely shouting. Like you can tell the authoritative tone. Seems to be some people who are suddenly waking up to, I don't want to go with these police officers. I don't know where they're taking me, and it doesn't seem very nice. There's a little bit of tension in the air, and more officers seem to be congregating around one spot. You can see some of them starting to step back and lift those rifles out of the 3/4 position, but no shooting yet. Instead, you see some of them sort of holding one hand to the side of their heads as though they were trying to push a speaker slightly closer to one ear inside the helmet. And there's Themrir. The two of you meet partway down this more shadowed section of the back of the building.
How far away are they?
At this point, they've got to be like 100 feet. This is a very long, wide area.
Is there anybody within, say, 50 feet?
No, not anymore.
No.
Except for Themrir.
Okay. Oh, hey, Themrir. Motherfucker. No, I'm kidding. Themrir, I don't know how you got in here, but we need to leave now.
Yes, that was my intention. I'm assuming you had talked to our good friend, the doctor.
Yes. If you have anything to say to her, say it now.
Major will remember her. Let us continue.
The doctor peeks out of the door as she pushes it closed, sees Themrir, nods in his direction, and then just keeps pushing. It seals with a clunk.
Cool. And
The exit way that you head down is pretty short. And when it dumps you out at one side of the building, away from most of the crowd. There's a few people who look in your direction as you come out of what didn't look like a door at all, just another section of bricked part of the building, cemented part of the outside. And you can see wheels turning in their heads as they do so. They all scurry away quickly. And I'll come back to both of you in a moment.
the others are still alive! Oh my god!
Wow.
Task.
It's no longer a two-man show.
Nah, we did.
The three
Oh,
of
this
you,
is your eulogies, right?
the three of you are inside of the wall of metal at this point. That is the officers and the knights. And they've sort of kept a wary eye on you as they continue loading the wounded. Mm-hmm. Eventually, one of the officers apparently receives something over their comms. Hard to say. They're all completely encased and their faces are hidden behind these helmets. And one of them walks over to you, Task, and you, Cyrus, and you, Kale. All right. We have a spot picked out for you on board. A couple of officers are going to accompany you. Just behave yourself, and soon you'll be at the hospital. We'll get you registered. Looks at Task. And the rest of you, as soon as you've been checked out and cleared by the docks, you can come back to the building. Your friend here might not end up registered the same building. That's not up to me.
Whoa, why are we going to the hospital, though?
Not ill.
That's not for me to decide.
Perhaps instead we could just pay the fine, officer.
There's no fine.
Are you sure there's no fine? Because I got the capital to pay it right now if you would be interested in going that route.
Cheddar cheese.
The officer's expression is entirely hidden by the helmet. This is for your own good. Just get on board the carrier.
Task turns to the other two. I see no reason for us not to comply.
Oh, no, I'm just making sure that, we couldn't just go with the fine. But seeing as that's apparently I was mistaken in that regard, perhaps complying would be the ideal situation. Thank you very much, officer.
You're welcome. And he waves in two of his compatriots, and they both stand just a little bit behind you all with their guns at the 3/4 mark. You can put your hands down.
Like I said, he gets nervous.
You have nothing to worry about. You're just going to a hospital. You've ever been to a hospital before?
I'm incapable of becoming ill, so no.
Lucky you. Nonetheless, you need to get registered and checked out. Everybody who comes through here, we check them for a wide variety of parasites, diseases, infections, viruses. You could be hosting any number of things, even if they can't affect you. If you manage to get in here without coming through the checkpoints, you're a danger to everyone. And these people have been hanging out with you. They're a danger too. That's why you all have to go to the hospital.
If your inspection is fair, then I have no complaints.
Kale looks at Cyrus like pleadingly, like, what?
It's all right, Kale. Let's just get on in there. This nice little truck over here.
Off you go. And the two officers sort of step up and wait for you to move.
The task starts moving with Cyrus and Kale. Then I guess I turn to Cyrus and say, "What do you know? What the material composition of these helicarriers are?"
Metal.
Is that as specific as you can get?
As you start asking questions of them, you feel a slight vibration from your pocket.
Me or Task?
Yeah. Okay. Task pulls out Bob without thinking about who might be able to see it or hear it.
Cyrus.
As you do so, the officers immediately behind you lift their rifles and then let them drop again a bit as you... Seems like you haven't pulled out a weapon. They're not quite sure what you pulled out, but since you don't seem to be doing anything threatening with it, they just say, "Let's go now."
Task is cool as a cucumber. Doesn't notice the weapons being raised.
Did they take Cyrus's gun?
Nope, they haven't taken your weapons yet. They're just watching you.
They're just sort of corralling us towards
They
thing, right?
seem sufficiently. How should I put the word? Confident and apathetic. They don't seem to think that anything that anybody here has is a threat to them.
Black Oracle box. Given the armaments of the police officers around me, could I disable them if I needed to?
Yeah, boss, that'll do it.
Okay, Task nods to himself and puts the box away.
The officers walk you on board. Inside the carrier is a lot of different levels. You can see that actually it goes up as much as it goes deep. And they walk you to the back of the first level, and they get you hooked into a couple of seats. And the officers themselves sort of stand nearby, and you can see that they actually sort of hook the back of their armor into standing braces inside of the carrier so that they can continue to stand while being supported. And the sort of shock webbing that comes down and attaches to each shoulder and to the back of their plating. And they just stand sort of at ease and with their rifles again in that 3/4 position, but each of them on either side of the three of you.
Okay, again, very relaxed. Task just does whatever they ask me to. So
I just go take my seat wherever they point to the seat is. So
Kale slumps. Yeah, Kale slumps next to Cyrus like, "Oh, I hate it here."
Yeah, no, but it's all right though. These officers just want to go get us checked out, So unfortunately,
Repeat again. And there's a sort of a burst of noise from him, and the other officer on the other side sort of nods. And there's like another burst of noise as the two of them sort of seem to exchange something really rapidly, but not in a way that you can understand.
Right.
Very well. 3 of you should get buckled in. We're taking off.
I understand. And Task goes to probably reach for the buckles and rips them out. If they're straps, there's no way they survive his grip.
Mm. They look at you having done that.
Yeah.
And now for the first time, maybe they look a little bit uncertain, just in their body language, because they raise their weapons and point them at you, even though you've done nothing particularly threatening. And they kind of try and get a little space, but can't because of the webbing, how the webbing has locked them in.
Right. And Task, not really worried about the guns, just the social aspect of it, lifts up the broken buckle like a little kid might, like a busted toy, and just kind of looks at them and goes, "I'm sorry."
Just hold on, I guess.
He drops the broken crap to the ground and just goes, "I understand."
All right. We're prepping. And you can see the light inside of the carrier slowly diminish as the ramp starts to come up. There's a lot of like muttering and subdued sounds inside. And there's a hiss of gas as the ramp completely seals. A hiss of hydraulics moving. And there's a sudden push, but it's not the burst of acceleration that Cyrus and Kale might have been expecting. It's more like somebody just turned an elevator, a really high speed elevator on, and lets you go, so that you feel a little bit like you've suddenly gained some weight, and then it's released, and then you gain some weight, and that's released in quick sequence. It's impossible to know what exactly is going on because you can't see outside. You're just in a big metal box. The whole thing is quiet, and there's sort of a murmur of people and the smell of unwashed bodies and a little bit of blood and piss in the mix. When the door next opens, it's maybe only a minute or two later. The free hospital's outside. And we'll get back to you in just a bit.
Okay.
Zaniel, Themrir, your friends just took off without you. They're jerks.
Friends is a heavy statement.
You see it happen because you can see this building-sized thing move and take off into the distance. It accelerates into the sky really quickly. It's not something that you've seen before, you don't think. Although it reminds you a little bit of the vessels that navigated the astral plane. It seems to move more on the basis of some sort of smooth motion that manipulates the area around it. You can see a little bit of distortion of light and heat around it, sort of the shimmering of a mirage as it moves. And then it's very quickly receding into the north.
Mm.
The crowd hasn't completely been loaded on. You can see that. The officers have piled back in around the entrance. There's a lot of noise from inside. You suspect that maybe they took off because they knew they weren't going to be getting an orderly row of these last few people on after all. You can hear firing from inside.
Themrir, whatever you did, we need to move. It's only a matter of time before that distraction finishes.
Do I feel the loss of life inside?
If you look for it, it's there.
It's always being looked for. Okay. Jurgle,
May Jurgle remember them.
fire alarm goes off apparently too.
A loss of life alarm is going off.
The cops found you. They know.
Sorry, our Oven sucks sometimes.
Yeah, ours it's not smoky. It just does the same thing. It's just because it does temperature, whatever.
Mhm.
Themrir shakes his head.
Major, you'll remember them. We're just lucky we got out unscathed.
And continues to move forward.
I assume we're going to have to follow whatever instructions the doctor gave you.
Yes, we need to get to that hospital. Not only is that where our lead is, but that's where the other three are going now.
I'm not sure they were in need of any aid.
Nor do I think that's actually a hospital.
Quite.
The doctor gave me a dire warning of staying away, which reinforces the fact that we need to go there. She also mentioned there might be either an underground or some back alleyway to get in. But whatever the case may be, I need to remain hidden. Whatever you do, that's up to you.
I'm not sure I'll be able to blend in, if you understand my meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Quite ironic. The two least suited for a stealth mission.
I don't know, Themrir. I don't know where you've been or what you've done in this time. But I'm no longer a druid. Sneaking in and out is something I'm a little more proficient in now.
I haven't said that I haven't been. I just said that we may be the least suited for it. But that does not mean we should not try.
Yeah. Anyways, we have a much distance to cover. Can you keep up with me? Or do I need to slow down?
I will do what I can.
Cool.
All right, and you set off, and we'll set off for our break.
Cool.
See you guys back at 9:50.
Okay.
Back in a
Great.
bit, guys.
So fun
Yeah.
fact, I can travel at 500 feet every 6 seconds.
That is very
too fast.
fast.
Sure.
And
Wait, Zaniel's fast?
No,
He's
he means
fast?
This is
himself.
the first I've heard of it.
who would have guessed? It's so weird. Oh, I just remembered the joke Pizza Guy did earlier with the trays. Oh no, that was Ocean Tide, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
fun.
All right,
Disappeared without a trace. Hello, everyone, and we're back. And happy to see you.
Yay.
We're just about to launch into the next bit of this adventure, and we've managed to split the party.
Yay.
Always the best stratagem.
Yes.
It always works out well for everyone.
As long as there's no aliens, you're okay.
Well then. In any case, let's see how things go from here. Cyrus, Kale, Task. Again, it seems only a few minutes between when you leave Steak Sauce and when you arrive at the so-called free hospital. The place is more or less what you might have imagined. It seems a little bit Baroque. Not broken, but Baroque in terms of its architecture. You get the sense that it wasn't always a hospital. Obviously, you haven't had the opportunity to hear Doc tell you there was a retrofit of something else, but you might have been able to pick that out just from some of the architectural details. It looks a little bit more like it might have been an office building of some kind, or maybe some sort of technological site, maybe even a research center at some point in its past history. But now it's been restructured and set up as, well, a hospital. There's not a lot of people going in or out. You can see that there are a number of police officers and a couple of knight errants that appear to be stationed just on the insides and outsides of the building. But the trickle of individuals going in and out mostly seems to be mostly healthy-looking people. You know, some with maybe a minor injury. You see some people who look like they're coughing a little bit, but nothing that looks too serious or severe. At the same time, however, they have a site set off for this massive carrier you're in to set down, and you get the impression that this area has been set aside for this sort of thing, and it's not all that unusual. The sight that you're getting out of this, of course, is all just through the cracks in the door as the ramp slides back down. The guards on either side of you press their hands to their helmets again as the murmuring turns into, rapid talking amongst the various people who are here at their first sight, almost certainly, of the free hospital. And some of them actually sound, fairly excited. These were people who were either on death's door, after all, or had some serious concern, something serious enough in many cases to bring them from whatever building they were actually registered in to, the hope of basically a back alley doctor patching them up. And here they are at what looks like a real facility, right, with probably proper doctors inside, proper machines. If they need x-rays, they can get them. If they need magnetic resonance imaging, it's there, right? If there are complications, then they can be dealt with. Real medicines can be dispensed. Like, this is a really big upgrade from the kind of treatments that they probably could have expected or were expecting. And the tone of the place, although it was, a little bit tense, especially in the darkness of the ride in the carrier, lightens up quite a bit as everybody gets their first glimpse of this place. It looks like a legit hospital. And it's probably the nicest looking facility that any of these people have seen since they got funneled in to the refugee camp. The only thing that might sour the sense of relief, almost, in the carrier is the sight of the wall just beyond the hospital. It really is built right up to it, but all the way up, not even close. The wall extends meter after meter after meter after meter, way above the top of this hospital. Whatever it was that Crawford thought he could pull off by going to the top floor of this hospital was clearly mistaken. There's no way that you could hope to surmount it from top. Even jumping like Task or distant stepping like Zaniel would leave you far short of the top of it. The kind of construction effort that went into building this wall, in fact, suggests that they're very serious about keeping people inside. Very, very serious. It's the kind of thing that for you, Cyrus and Kale, would be almost unthinkable. How could anyone move Earth on this scale? For you, Task, you could imagine the kind of effort that it would take. It would be doable. You know the kind of technology that could accomplish it. But it would be a massive undertaking. It would be more than digging the Panama Canal to accomplish walls like this, completely enclosing an area. And this apparently isn't the only refugee camp. Why have they put so much effort into this? In any case, the carrier starts unloading. Quite logically, they take the people from the top floor and bring them down first. There seems to be a little elevator kind of setup going on in the middle of the carrier, such that they can have everyone who's up top filed out first. And it seems that these were the most injured. They're all coming out on little hover gurneys, and they have the police keeping a close eye on them as they go. Many of them have suspended saline bags or some other kind of fluid replacement or some other aid that is helping keep them in good condition. You see a few who look like they are unconscious. It's not clear to you whether they're alive or not, but they go through a different door than the rest. The others who seem to be, at least awake, go through one of the large open doors. The police and knights who are on station there snap off quick salutes towards their fellows who are coming in. And again, Task, you're the only one who can hear this because of all the noise and the distance between you. But there's that quick, sudden exchange of noise between them as though they were speaking really, really quickly. Or perhaps it's just some sort of burst of static or something coming over the radios. But in any case, really, really fast something being exchanged. And they both nod as though they'd had a conversation, and then they step back. By the time that you are being offloaded, most of the more badly injured individuals have already come and gone. And the soldiers next to you, the police officers next to you, unhook themselves from the various mechanisms that were helping to support them inside of the carrier and gesture with their weapons towards the exit. You can all get up now. Join the orderly row. We're going to be walking just behind you. So please don't move too fast. When you get to the entrance to the hospital, the two of you who are registered just need to show yours hat too. We'll clear you, and they point at you, Task, with the barrel of their gun, for entrance as well, and then we'll get you checked out and registered. Understood?
I understand.
Good. And they gesture you, Cyrus, and you, Kale, ahead a little bit. And one of the officers hangs back with Task while the other one steps in behind you. You mentioned that you couldn't be injured.
This is
You couldn't
correct.
be infected. No diseases. You've never been sick.
No.
Have you ever been asleep? Unconscious?
Yes, I have.
Okay. What was it that brought about your unconsciousness?
Great physical force. I was engaged with a troll. The troll overwhelmed me.
Was that the only time?
I was Task sobs. There was one other time. It was when I first awoke.
Interesting. And the guard turns back towards the carrier, nods at something, uncertain what, and the ramp starts coming up as the last few people file up. If you wouldn't mind coming with me, we're going to take you in a slightly different direction from your friends.
I would feel more comfortable staying with them.
I understand, but you haven't been registered yet, and you haven't been checked out. You need to make sure that you're not making all these people sick.
I understand. I will comply.
Good. Then you can just come with me.
I assume we're out of earshot by that point.
No, you're walking just a little bit ahead. They haven't tried to fully separate you yet.
With respect, officer, we've been spending a lot of time with him. If he needs to be quarantined, it might be in everyone's best interests that we are quarantined with him.
The officer who is walking behind you exchanges a look with the one who's walking behind Task, and they shrug. All right. Go with him then.
I turn around very slowly to go back to where he is, not doing anything threatening of any sort.
And the three of you get pulled out of the line of individuals all heading into the hospital with a little bit of a bounce in their step, honestly. You know, those who aren't walking with a broken limb anyways. There's reason for optimism. I mean, they're just going to end up back in the refugee camp once they're treated, but a real bed that presumably is kind of clean in a fairly nice facility, it's a big step up. At least for a little while, they probably won't need to worry about what to drink or what to eat. well, I shouldn't say a little, there's actually a great big door, but it's much smaller than some of the other doors that all these crowds of people are going through, all to one side, that leads sort of like into a column of the building that's somewhat separate from the rest. The guards walk with you towards this one, and you leave the long stream of people behind, quite a bit, right? There's a lot of distance here. It's a big place. And they walk you in through the entranceway. And the doors whoosh gently open in front of you. And they walk you inside. And they whoosh gently close behind you. And you hear a click and a hiss. And the lights go out. Unfortunately, Cyrus, Kale, there's not really much chance for you here. Task. I would like you to roll me might with a difficulty of 7. And you can tell me if you have anything in particular that you'd like to add to that.
It's got strong eyes.
No. So the lights have gone out. Interesting. Well, I specialize in breaking inanimate objects. All right, let's see.
Right now, you need to hit a 21.
Is darkness inanimate? Hi, my name's Richard. We're going to talk about particles today.
Welcome to my TED Talk.
Okay, that's about me getting like an attack opportunity. That gives me extra things. Yeah, no, not really. My target number is 21 right now. Okay. So.
And you can ease it up to 3, so that would bring it down to a 4. So you'd still need to hit a 12.
So you need to hit a 12? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what I do then.
Up to you.
So, okay, so if I...
You don't have any skills that you think apply?
So this is specifically for the door closing or for...
It's in reaction to something that's happening now that the lights have gone out.
Gotcha.
My skills are jumping, running, climbing, and breaking inanimate objects.
If you combine all of those together, they equal eyesight.
No, then none of those do apply.
Can I help him with anything? I do actually have this ability. It is when they're attempting a physical task.
Mm-hmm.
I can provide help benefit to another character.
Unlike the regular helping rules, this doesn't require you to use your action helping the other character for the task. This requires no action on your part.
I imagine Cyrus is just like, it's dark in here, and Tusk's like,
maybe
understand.
Cyrus can like tell him what direction or something like that.
Yeah. Cyrus, you have the opportunity to say, close your eyes.
All right.
Okay.
Close your eyes.
Okay. Gotcha.
And that, I think the way helping is supposed to work is that will ease by 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So do I input the so ease by 1? Does that mean do I input the difficulty of 6 and then choose my level of effort? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go for 3. Let's see what happens.
And then it should tell you how much it costs to deduct from your pool.
We did it.
All right.
Fine either way.
Don't forget to discount your edge. Oh, I see it's done that for
already done
you.
it. Yeah. So
There you go.
So we'll be 5 after all. So,
All right.
very good. Success.
Cyrus, Kale, there's a flash of light when the light goes out. It's not that it went dark, it's that you can't see anymore. It spirals through your head like a hammer blow straight to the brain. It feels really bad. It's like getting your head shaken and hitting the inside of your head, and you both are unconscious as a result. But Task, you are really difficult to physically constrain. They thought they had something that might do the trick, but it turns out that, combined with Cyrus telling you at just the last moment as he realized what was going on or had some inkling, that you are not so easily put down. The flash of light and whatever it carries that was supposed to hammer into your brain and render you unconscious merely irritates you. There is a part of you that is ready for it and is able to counter it at the last moment. You recognize it actually as a very complex image, something that's difficult for the human brain to render and to comprehend, something that plays upon the weaknesses of the audiovisual cortex and its ability to process. It would have rendered you unconscious normally, but you just discard the inputs. And so you are unconscious when the nights open, or you are conscious rather, when the inner doors open and the light of the hallway enters in, and they start dragging your friends forward. They reach back to grab your body as well, only to find, well, not knights, sorry, police officers, only to find you still standing.
Right.
The police officers look at you uncertainly, and then one of them continues dragging your friends as though he just couldn't care, just as though he wasn't concerned about what was going on, and the other one levels his weapon at you. Interesting. You are a more difficult specimen than we have been led to believe. I'm going to have to put you down on the immediate.
Your gun. It fires ballistic ammunition.
Armor-piercing rounds.
It will do nothing.
Let's find out.
Your attempts at hostility are futile.
It opens fire on you.
Okay.
I would like you to make a might roll at difficulty 3.
Okay. Very good. I don't suppose. No, I'm not breaking it. I'm just resisting it. So that's fine.
You break the bullets that hit you.
Shrapnel.
No. Diamond hard.
Tasks packs destroy inanimate objects.
If you succeed, you do in fact break the bullets, and you can retroactively add that bonus.
GM you can player intrusion it too if you'd like.
It's true.
You may be able to break all the bullets, but they'll still live.
They'll live for you.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Put in a little spicy effort there. All right, no problem. You do.
Oh, it was a speed defense. Interesting.
Oh no, I asked you for might, Nathaniel.
Oh yeah, sorry. The reason I used speed was because I have sorry, I'm sorry. I'll just re-roll. Sorry. I was thinking I have a thing that lets me, if I succeed on a speed roll, I get an extra action.
Okay.
But I didn't actually clear it with you, so I will just re-roll. So I'm sorry.
No worries. You can just let me know. No, I want to try and do speed instead.
Right. Well, when you take
and
that,
justify
then,
it to me.
If I
Sure. What are you trying to avoid the bullets then?
Yes.
Instead of just taking the hit?
Yes, because what I want to do, rather than just standing there and taking it, I would like to get, because I want to try to close, right? Obviously, he should not should he be point blank.
Right.
So I would.
Well,
like
it's
to
pretty close quarters, yeah.
I would like to, but my attempt is not to just move in and like grab his face. I want to sort of go around to the side.
All
you
right.
know, maybe
this is a rapid stream of bullets coming from a gun, so I'm going to raise the difficulty to 4.
Okay.
And I'll have you roll again.
Okay, I understand.
Nothing personnel. There you go. That's a roll.
Yep.
So it costs you 4 altogether, but no problem. You beat the bullets to the punch, as it were. And I expect that is what will be coming next. The police officer in this interlocking armor that completely hides any part of his body is completely flabbergasted, or so his body language would suggest. He doesn't even seem like emotionally affected. He doesn't seem to be afraid or surprised. He just, as he misses you, slowly turns, from your perspective, slowly turns towards you, trying to bring the still firing gun into line. But by the time he has done so, you will have acted. Over to you,
Okay.
Task.
All right, so This activates my ability called Seize the Moment. If you succeed on a speed defense roll to resist an attack, you gain an action. You can use the action immediately, even if you've already taken a turn in the round. You don't take an action during the turn. So I don't know if we're officially in combat initiative. My hope here is that I can act twice in a row.
I think that's fine.
Okay. The first action I would like to take then is to break his weapon.
All right. It's breaking something. It's not really that resistant as far as you're concerned. Let's have a difficulty of might. Might difficulty of 2.
Okay, I'm specialized in breaking inanimate objects.
So it's 1.
Okay.
Wait, are you trained or specialized?
Specialized.
Oh, specialized, then it's
Actually,
0. You do it
none.
automatically.
Okay.
Thanks for the question, Thomas.
Yep.
It breaks under your blow. You're very precise, but you probably didn't need to be. With the kind of power you wield, it just couldn't stand up to it. I mean, you have punched through some serious obstacles. A precision weapon like this is nothing. The weapon falls into pieces, but you're moving so fast that you can still do something more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My next objective would be to I would like to knock him to the ground, basically. Like, just sort of, I want to basically, like, shoulder check him, football style, and try to knock him onto his back or his rump.
Are you trying to restrain yourself specifically to knock him down, or are you just hitting him as hard as you can and with the expectation that will knock him down?
My empathy center is still on. I am trying to knock him down so that I might get him to surrender.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then that will be a speed difficulty of 2.
Okay, understood. What is... Okay, sorry. The one thing about the system I can never remember is what the target number is equal. So is it 2 times 3 or 2 times 4?
3 times the listed number.
So a difficulty of 2 would be 6?
6.
Yeah.
Okay.
6 or above will do it for you.
Okay, so I just wanted to know that because I'm trying to decide if I want effort on this or not. Can I roll 6 or better? Yeah. No.
Oh no, but you can't.
Okay.
The police officer, if that's what he is, quick steps back from you much faster than a human ought to be able to. Now, he might have some sort of assist from the armor he's wearing, but it's a really quick reaction. Quick enough to beat you to the punch, as it were, or in this case, the body check. The guard in question, now having been deprived of its gun, goes towards the other door that was bobsliding, the control panel for the door that was on the hospital side of things, and slaps it shut. Your view of where Cyrus and Kale are even now just rounding a corner into the halls of the hospital is cut off as a result.
Right.
And it comes back at you with a swing. Let's have a might of 1.
Okay. Okay.
Oh
my God.
It's a 3.
Your dice rolls must be saving up for something good.
Oh boy. Remember
Saving
that
up to
first
send
session
those
where
kids to
everyone got a
college.
nat 20? I'm the counterbalance.
It's surprisingly powerful blow. Again, maybe there's some sort of assist coming from the armor. Your superstructure is more than capable of taking it, though. You absorb it and you send the kinetic energy across.
Where does
the
he attempt to strike
superstructure
me?
that
Does
you're-
he just go for center mass? Or?
Just goes for center mass.
Okay.
Obviously expecting his blow to do something much more than it does. as the kinetic energy simply sort of dissipates across your superstructure to no effect. The guard steps back from that as though incredibly surprised. Again, it's hard to read any emotion into his actions, but you can't see any face behind the fully covering helmet. But you do see a little bit of that in the body language. Very tough. It pulls out a sidearm. Back to you.
So you mentioned that the door that was leading down the hallway that Kale and Cyrus went has closed?
Yes.
What is it? Was it like a sliding, what was it, like a sliding glass door? Was it like a big metal, was it a garage door style?
It is the same as the doors that I described on the outside.
Okay.
Two fairly thick metal doors that part down the middle.
Okay.
And then come back together. You heard a hydraulic hiss behind you, so you suspect that it seals in some way.
Understood.
When it closes.
And are there any other hallways leading out of this room, or was it just that way?
This is all the entrance way. Okay. So you suspect that the only way out or in is either out of the building or into the building.
Okay. So knowing which door Cyrus and Kale went through, I run through that door.
Just going to push right through it?
Yeah.
All right. Let's have a might. Actually, you know what? No, this is just a door. It can't stop you. It's not that thick. The metal buckles and breaks and explodes outward into the hallway beyond you as you just ram yourself through it. This isn't a cartoon, so you don't leave a task-shaped hole. Instead, you leave little shreds of the door still hanging, and you can see the mechanisms inside the door that pulled it closed and pushed it open, the hydraulic fluid leaking to the ground. The guard inside attempts to shoot at you as you flee, but by this point you're basically beyond his range as you go around the corner. Right. Which way do you want to go? The way that you saw Kale and Cyrus being dragged?
Yes.
Okay.
As to much as my knowledge. I mean, if it bends in a way I didn't see, then I'll just try to take a best guess. But
you can see more or less where they went.
Okay.
Or at least where you think they went off to. But the hallway extends for a long way.
Okay.
And there's no sight of them around it, but there's many turns that they could have taken off to the right as you look down the hallway. You suspect that they might be in one of the rooms alongside here or one down in the branching hallways. As you start progressing, the lights shift quickly from blue to red a few times, and then back to a solid blue.
Okay, and the guy who was shooting at me, he's too far away now
to do what? To be a threat? No,
yeah.
You could probably still be a threat.
Okay.
You've basically just gone around the corner.
Right. Okay, I guess I want to continue down this hallway at a disciplined jog, trying to keep some distance between the guy behind me, but not too fast that I miss. Basically, you mentioned there were doors. I basically just want to jog down and see if I can see Cyrus or Kale.
As soon as you try and do that, another of the officers slides basically out of one of the hallways ahead of you.
Okay.
The lights on the ceiling again pulse red a couple of times quickly and then go back to solid blue. And the guy you left behind you turns around the corner and aims down the hallway.
Okay.
I'm going to let you act first.
Oh, great. Okay. Then, Task is going to quickly look at his special abilities. And he is going
Mental
to
catalog. What is it I can do?
Oh, Bob, give me guidance. You got it, buckaroo.
Let's see. Okay, that's a melee. That's only if it's a melee. That's too bad.
If Task shoots his fist off of his wrist, does that count as melee?
No.
I might allow it.
I think I'm gonna use this one.
Okay.
It's called Crushing Blow. When you use a bashing or bladed weapon, like my fists being bashing, in both hands and apply effort on the attack, you get a free level of effort on the damage if unarmed. The attack is made with both fists or both feet together.
All right.
So,
Drop kick.
so I'm gonna put out both my hands
That's a type
and basically like bull charge the guy who's come out in front of me.
All right. Not exactly a not exactly a particularly what's the word I'm looking for here? Stylish ploy, but it should do the job. Okay, you slam into him with both fists. Let's have a might roll of 2. He's basically standing there waiting for you to shoot, trying to shoot you as soon as he can.
I was gonna say Task isn't really too worried about style over substance. So for bash to work, I have to apply at least 1 level of effort to get the bonus to the damage. So here we go. Cool.
All right, still on those low rolls, but it's good enough.
Yeah, a little scary.
You
Gotta up your game, Nathaniel.
looking at task damage here. Yeah, right. And then you add another.
I add a level of effort on the damage. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but
Okay, you get a free level of effort, so that increases it by 1.
Okay, great. So then, yeah, you can see my damage. That's quite a bit.
Yeah. You slam into this guy, or thing, anyways. The armor crumples inwards, and your fists come back out the other side. And there is a spark and a hiss, and also a thick red fluid, but not quite the red you were expecting, that oozes down your arms as you do so. The thing spazzes out. It goes crazy. It slaps at your arms as though trying to remove them. It seems to forget how to use its gun. It's sort of like crumples in around your arms, almost like a spider with its web cut, as it's just sort of flails. And then the head is thrown back as part of this effort to dislodge you, and the helmet sort of rolls and eventually comes loose from the collar that is attached to. And you see the face of the police officer just sort of distorted and screaming wordlessly, soundlessly, except maybe for occasional this burst of like static or quick noise that issues. And the thing flails against you as it tries to, again, grip your hands. And it's strong. It's way stronger than it ought to be, especially now that you've crushed its chest in and put your hands right through it. It clamps on your wrists, and it seems like it might actually manage to pull your arms free before it sort of collapses down and hangs from your arm. The officer behind you, still readying its weapon, instead disappears back around the corner, and you see the lights above you flash red 3 or 4 times in quick sequence, and then goes blue again. There's one other thing that particularly stands out to you about the creature that you've just killed. There's a seam between where its face ends and its head begins.
Right.
We'll end there for tonight.
Amazing.
But wait, Chris, me and Kale are still unconscious somewhere. We can't just stop.
Yeah,
hang on.
split the party 3 ways, baby.
And hold on, you're saying that Zaniel and Themrir didn't get there when all of this was happening? Like, we're so fast.
You had so much time.
We didn't. We were also losing to a flying vehicle, so
Should have caught a ride, dum-dum.
Well, you were. I asked if I should go slower, and you didn't say anything, so I went full speed. So, yeah.
I said I will try to keep up.
Right.
That is true.
He's just been riding on your back. Give him a piggyback ride.
Ah, damn it. I knew something was
session,
wrong.
guys. Great session, everyone.
Mhm.
nice.
It's almost like Task is the titular character of this whole thing right now.
Titular character?
Task
Titular.
What was that?
Task gets.
Oh, it's titular?
No, it's titular. You're right. It's
Titular,
just funny.
isn't it?
Titular? It's something like that.
It's titular. It's just funny. It's like saying, I don't know.
Task gets top billing, then we get Cyrus,
And then who
then the
even
rest.
cares?
and then the
Wow. Wow.
Very,
Screw you guys. I know I should have hated you from the moment I saw you.
very, very cool.
Look,
Chris.
I'm gonna go
Kale's
save
like,
guys
you.
that we've known for like 2 hours. So
Kale's like Cyrus Jr. He gets some residual spotlight.
Yeah, fabulous session, Chris. Why don't you give us a
Thank you.
little? Tell us a little bit about
We're right here. We're stuck right here in the middle of the story. We know because of the length of wrong side of the wall that we've got 6
right.
sessions. So we've managed at this point to get to the best possible scenario where the party is almost as split as it can be.
That's right.
But are we a banana?
Now Zaniel just needs to abandon Themrir as they run for the hospital, and we'll become.
yeah,
I'll steal Themrir's invisible ship.
Now, I do want to point out, Nathaniel, that despite
told you?
That despite ending up, with some bad rolls tonight, when it really counted, when you're just like, I'm either going to be disabled or not,
Yeah.
you're just like, nah.
Yeah.
I know Selin.
Yeah.
Tried my best to keep us together with the
I was
quarantine boy.
gonna say the one failed roll wasn't too bad. It was,
Doing my best.
So
We
I chalk
almost
it up
had
in
him.
universe. I chalk it up to like, well, Task was holding back, so we held back too much.
You easily would have killed that guy if you hadn't held back.
Yeah, why are you murderlating?
He would have just been a red stain on the hospital floor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chris, what are we
Say
looking
he
forward
isn't.
to next week?
Yeah.
So next week, I hope that you will join us again for. I didn't write it down. Darn.
Episode 4. I didn't write it down.
I didn't write it down. Darn. It's really good. No, I told you I was going to, and then I forgot.
Oh,
Oh no, the old age is kicking in. Darn it.
All
Wait,
right.
what are we doing here again?
But I remember. That's why I had to stall while I thought about it.
okay.
For episode 4, the Blood Oath.
Oh, that's not freaky at all. Yep.
Oh,
Alright.
great.
Excellent. Okay.
Wait, blood oaths are freaking awesome.
Holy shit.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
I do a blood oath every Tuesday.
I will make a
bro.
blood oath. I don't care with who. I just want to make one. It doesn't matter.
Hey, Arkham,
Wait,
you're
so many
unconscious.
people-
You cut.
Which
you
cut
cut
doesn't
over.
mean that you might not end up with a Blood Oath.
That's right.
True. You cut over to like the survivor style, like solo interviews, and it's like, yeah, man, I'll make a blood oath with anybody. My dog, your dog.
All right. Well, in any case, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have a lot of chaos going on, and it's uncertain what exactly is happening here. But I think we'll find out more next week. So I hope you join us then.
Wow.
See you later.
Dragon balls.
You're
Wait,
right.
hold on.
See you next week, everybody.
Crazy to think we only have 3
Bye.
sessions left of Ron Side of the Wall.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're on the wrong side of the wall. It's weird.
We're gonna see what's coming after that too, very
Yeah.
soon, I guess, huh?
Uh,
Are we going to announce before or after the AMAs?
Yay!
After
That's a
would
good
be.
question.
After the AMAs.
All right. There you go.
It usually follows
Stick
the AMA
around.
where we get
What
a
if
teaser.
I ask during the AMA?
Ooh.
I'm a
It is an
rebel.
AMA.
Don't waste your questions.
It's a plan for this AMA. We got all kinds of cool stuff. So
That's what the
Save
second
for
A
the
stands
AMA,
for.
man.
The AMA is actually a whole campaign, so
It might as well be. I mean, we've got a lot to recap.
and we have to
Roll
create our
to ask
characters
questions.
for the AMA. So-
I'm gonna play as Richard.
I've already got.
If that's
I've already
okay.
got a character worked out for the AMA.
Yeah.
I'll have to come up with a voice.
My character's name's Nathaniel. He's about 29. He,
That's
likes-
unrealistic.
Good dancer, does some writing.
Nice.
Always still in.
Yeah, I'm letting this roll.
I mean, I love it. Love it. Okay, I'm really glad I didn't keep going because I was going to say that's why I asked because I was doing some personal information of my.
No,
No,
better
not
not.
no.
Yeah.
My social insurance
Nice.
number.